ho, we are live, estamos vivos y estamos encendido. Grace is in the building. Grace, you gonna join? I wasn't gonna ask you, Grace, if you wanted to join because I know that you're in the program right now and you're studying, learning how to, teach the kids literacy. But if you wanted to join, you are super welcome. Okay, so hopefully I just accepted everybody's request to join. I'm hoping that yes, and it's just moving slowly. Boom. Ow! Oh, we got something in the building. Boom! Just like Michael.
It's good.
Hello, friends. How are you physically feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh out the gym, walking through Steinway right now. Heading back home.
If it gets too hot on Steinway, I'm going to tell you and ask you if you can join back when you get to where you're going.
I'm going home, man, so I'm on the conversation. I'm here.
Thomas, how are you physically feeling in this moment?
Good. I in the nose and got like pepperoni knots and pizza, and I'm feeling full already.
Okay, great. I was going to say, in the beginning, your words were cutting in and out. Is my sound good? Can you hear me?
Oh, my
It's a
audio.
little muffled, a little bit. I don't know if it's me, but
My sound's a little muffled. How about now? Still muffled?
a little bit. It sounds like you underwater type shit.
Let me see if I take off these headphones. 1 second. People who are joining the live, thank you so much. Let me get a mic check. It's muffled. Okay. Mike.
Oh, that's way better.
I bet. So we're gonna do it like this. Forget those headphones. I'm gonna just get all up in the screen like this. No sound. Grace, mic check. Sound. Okay. Bet. Grace, let me know if you want to join at some point and we can rotate somebody out. I definitely want to hear from you if you have capacity. We could ask the Queen's accountability page or Donnelly to jump out. So thank you everybody who's joining us right now. I imagine if you're joining us, you know why we are here. Honestly, we wanted to to connect with the community. Donnelly, I gotta tell you, the sound is making it difficult for me to. Yeah, can you mute? You see that? Now I feel calm in my heart. Thomas, yeah, you're gonna say something? Okay, good. So everybody, welcome. We are here to talk about accountability for our city council member, Julie Wan. We ran a couple of different rallies. The rally on Saturday was just like wildly successful, in my opinion. And I'm really just proud of everybody who participated in it, everybody who stopped to engage with us. It was just really beautiful. So shout out to us for doing that. I gotta say, just shout out to everybody on the call, and everybody who was supporting, in the organizing effort. But we really wanted to, if you don't know, I'm Roque, people call me Rock. This is Donnelly, Thomas. And we want to answer any questions that y'all might have about why we put on that rally. You know what I'm saying? And to just share a little bit about how this whole experience has gone for us. So I will maybe just give a couple, if anybody has a question immediately, I will let them ask it. If not, we will maybe just recap what just happened, because it was just like boom, like stuff was just happening. And I kind of feel like it got away from me a little bit. In the best way possible, So does anybody have any questions about, why we put on that rally on Saturday, why we have been looking for accountability in this way? Preguntas, por favor. Open forum. Unlike some people.
I'll do this. I'll ask you, Rock. why did you feel inspired to start this Queen's Accountability Rally?
Well, yeah, it really goes to the same question that Kayla just asked in the chat too. It was my issue with the budget, right? It's my issue with it was my issue with the budget primarily, but the issue that I had with the budget vote that Julie Wan did, it really goes so much deeper and just speaks to the issue I have with you know, um, humanity, with the human, with how we are existing right now in society. So Julie Wan made a pledge that two different pledges that said that she would not vote on an increase to the NYPD budget, specifically that took money from social services needed for the people. You know what I'm saying? So if some extra money came out of somewhere and they were able to allocate that money to the NYPD, she could have done that and it wouldn't have been a violation of the pledge. But to directly say, no, we're gonna defund schools, we're gonna defund libraries, we're gonna defund mental health services, we're gonna defund, housing, we're gonna defund any hospitals, we're gonna defund any city organization that you could think of that operates under the city. If you go back and watch the testimony from, I'm gonna lose the date right now, the finance committee hearing that I testified at. I'm gonna find it. But if you go back and look at that whole date from that whole hearing, it was 12 hours of testimony. And at least 10 hours of that testimony was folks from different city agencies saying, we don't have the things that we need to execute. We don't have the books that we need for schools. There were children there. There were high school children at the city council finance committee hearing that didn't get to testify till 9:30 p.m. that stayed there all day so they could testify and say, it was a young black girl. She was like, we didn't get our physics books till just now. That was 4 weeks ago. They just got her physics textbook, right? Another group of kids was coming to try and advocate for getting more money for the schools because they wanted to improve the food that they were eating in the cafeterias. So, but these are children begging for basic necessities while the police are writing themselves, the NYPD are giving themselves a retroactive raise to 3 years ago and raising the SR, their total budget to a budget that is higher than the budget of a bunch of countries' militaries, including the Ukraine, right? The NYPD budget is higher than Ukraine's military spending budget. Anyway, so Julie Wan pretended to be a progressive candidate and took pictures at Black Lives Matter protests, did all this stuff to buddy up and make people in this district who are generally who think of themselves as progressive people in order to make them feel better about voting for her. As soon as she got into office, she turned around and she violated that pledge. She voted yes in the police budget that defunded schools. She then silenced any dissent. Love you too, Primo. She then silenced any dissent that came on her way when people were commenting on her social media. She cut off the social media comments. She would only take private meetings with influential people. Regular folks could not get meetings with her, didn't get a call back from her, didn't get a response from her to why did you vote on this budget? And this is feedback that we heard on the street. You know what I'm saying? I just heard this in the street talking to my neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, yeah, I tried to reach out to her. She didn't get back to me. So I feel like what Julie Wan represents is kind of corporate America. It's this it's Starbucks with the pride flag and then taking it away. You know what I'm saying? When it's not convenient anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just giving not delivering you what they promised you and telling you to like it. You know what I'm saying? And so even after that happened, I was gonna let it go, but then she went on to go put on a vigil. She put on a vigil for the murder of Tyre Nichols on Skillman Avenue in Sunnyside, which has less than 1% Black population, and she got Black people from adjacent neighborhoods to come to here to make it look like she had Black people there in mourning for Tyre Nichols, and that's when I absolutely lost my mind. You know what I'm saying? When she did that vigil is when I decided that this couldn't stand, that I couldn't stomach it, that I wouldn't be able to work with her, I wouldn't be able to align with her, I wouldn't be able to let it go. So that's why I wanted to put energy into, holding her accountable. But, while I started, while I might have like, you know, rallied people, it was really so many people, including Thomas, who I really want to hear, people to hear from, were so instrumental in making these rallies happen. Like really, I don't even have, honestly, like with my PTSD right now, I don't even have the executive function to like organize a rally like that and execute it on my own, like real shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just really grateful to everybody that came together to make it happen. So I want to hear a little bit from Thomas too. Like Thomas, for people who don't know, Thomas mutually worked on Julie Wan's campaign to get her elected the first time. So actually, Thomas, like you, and Thomas, I appreciate your patience with me too, because when I saw you, I remember I was calling Thomas out on Facebook, like, yo, Thomas, did you see the city council budget vote? You know, and like, you know, calling him out without like reaching out to him first individually. So I actually want to not even apologize for that, but like, I do feel bad about that. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have just messaged you like, hey, Thomas, what's up with this? But I didn't know you as well as I know you now. So do you want to talk to people a little bit about like why you wanted to participate in this rally?
Yeah, I can speak to that a bit. So first, I think like for the people viewing, tomorrow's election day, and it's been a very charged time for the folks organizing this accountability rally. And I don't think that like, yeah, I guess I'll just say that my sort of catalyst or reason for getting involved in this was seeing everything like unfold. Just when I thought Julie Wan could not get worse, I would find out brand new news. So for me, if folks need context, you know, first there were like 16 people running in our city council race. I was like donating, advising, and like supporting multiple leftists running. It was really hard to like say, okay, I'm just going to support this person in a ranked choice voting election where, you know, you can like have the option of supporting multiple people. Um, and then it got really difficult at a point where like I think all of the candidates were vying for, you know, the Working Families Party endorsement. The Democratic Socialists of America weren't endorsing, I don't think, in this race. I believe they did hold interviews. Um, and I remember that going through that process during the Working Families Party endorsement process. And uh, and it was pretty like contentious and pretty heated. Like a lot of folks wanted Amit Baga, some folks wanted Haley Kim, some folks wanted Julie Wan, some people wanted Julia Foreman, and all these names being thrown out. And so Julie Wan ended up getting the majority of the vote. Well, I wouldn't say majority, it was a plurality. It was like 7 people wanted to endorse her. And so it became a big deal when the way the Working Families Party works is the Queens Working Families Party will suggest a candidate to the RAC, to like their advisory board for the state, and then the state Working Families Party approves it basically.
Mhm.
And they shot down the recommendation for Julie Wan, and that caused a lot of friction. A lot of people were like, "This is so fucked up. She seems great. She's saying all the right things. She's coming to all the right events. She's like has you know she's running to the left of Amit." She's signing these pledges like the Courage to Change PAC by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Democratic Socialists of America's Racial Justice Working Group's People's Budget, saying she wouldn't vote for a budget that defunded social services and funded the NYPD. And so everyone's like, oh my God, she seems great, perfect, polished, saying the right things. The policy's on point. Her campaign is run really well because her husband is a campaign professional. He worked on Ron Kim, John Liu, Max. He won like he flipped a Republican held seat. Like, you know, he knows what he's doing. And so he ran and designed his wife's campaign to look like a leftist campaign, from the logo to the written policies to the events that she showed up with. And she moved into my building. I live in Phipps Sunnyside Gardens Apartments, and for folks that don't know, it's like a 500-unit building. It's like its own community within a community. And she like helped out our tenants association, collected data on the tenants, you know, like took people's email, phone, their problems. You have a leak, you have mold in your apartment, you're dealing with harassment from the landlord, you're back in rent. Okay, just give me your information. I'll help you out when this is all over. our election district, like districts are split up into election districts. Our election district was Julie's best election district in the entire district. From Long Island City, Astoria, like everyone in this building in this block voted for her. Virtually everyone ranked her number one. And it was very exciting, you know, like, oh my God, we got like this person who seems like really committed to like movement politics.
Yeah.
And what I will say, you know how they say that there are politicians that movement people warn you about co-opting movement language? That is Julie Wan. She's the personification of that people warned us about. She won, big celebratory moment for everyone that worked on her campaign, that volunteered, that knocked doors, that donated. And then she moved out. I didn't even know she moved out of the building. And I found out from a neighbor that she moved. And then I was like, oh, you moved? Like, I texted her and she's like, oh yeah, we're somewhere else now. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I worked on another campaign for Ana Maria Archila. For folks that don't know, she's the one who, during like those hearings in DC, stopped Senator Jeff Flake in the elevator, trying to get him to like listen to survivors of sexual assault. I worked for her campaign, and she wanted to work with Julie on an event. And that same like coming month, Julie like voted yes on the budget. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I have to work for her now. I have to work with her. And I was like, what's going on? Who's advising her? I'm like, something's like, I missed. This can't be right. Like, I need to look at the budget. But I was working on a campaign for Lieutenant Governor, for Ana Maria Archila's campaign. And I just said, you know, like, I'll look on this afterwards. I'll work with her and I'll look on this afterwards. It can't be like as bad as I think. And then I'm not online the way other people are online on Twitter, like with stuff. And like, so I was getting like a slow update and I was like, oh my God, she did vote for this budget. And then I was like, okay, well, she's still our council member. What are we gonna do? I was like, okay, let me just keep corresponding with her about other legislation, other issues. And she was kind of weak on a lot of things apart from like the redistricting. And then come to find out, like she took her name off the Secure Jobs Act, the bill that Tiffany Caban introduced that protects workers from unjust firings, and it's endorsed by every single progressive org under the sun, and nearly every member of the Progressive Caucus endorses it. And I was like, what's going on? And like, come to find out, her friends, people that worked on her campaign too, are leaders within the Carpenters Union, which is like a more conservative union. They usually will endorse moderates and Republicans. And they are the biggest opponents of the Secure Jobs Act. So Julie cozying up to like conservatives. She has Jim McGee campaigning for her. Jim McGee ran like a pro-bail reform rollback campaign for assembly here. He's all about like tax the rich, but you know, lock up the poor and lock up people. And that's like his, and like he's collected petitions from her. Like it's all public knowledge. Like the Board of Elections has to show the public the petitions, and he's out there collecting for her, hosting events for her. He hosted like a Western Queens Independent Democratic Club with all the people that we know in the neighborhood who are super moderate. They all came to it.
Yeah.
And it was just one thing after another. And for me, I just work on campaigns. I'm a part of the Campaign Workers Guild, and it's a union for campaign workers. And so I just get like so caught up with working other campaigns on every level of government that I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to like deal with her. I've asked her to be better. I've tried to mobilize constituents to call her, to like write letters. Like when the teacher and the parents sued the city because of the education cuts, like we were getting the people to write letters. It was like impossible to get the same Julie Wan supporters to commit to like holding her accountable, call her office, tell her to like reinvest in schools. And unlike like council members like Shahana Hanif and other people who did vote on the budget and apologized for it and are working with the education advocates, Julie doubled down on her support for her vote, and continues to justify it to this day, to the point where I just call it progressive washing. Like I learned the term yesterday, and it's like I'm gonna make the veneer, I'm gonna make my logo, I'm gonna make everything on the outside and everything I say sound and look progressive, but my actions, my vote, my record aren't that. And I'm always gonna spin stuff, and I'm always gonna make it look like I'm doing the right thing. And so that was sort of it, and I was like following Roque's um, like interactions with Julie. And after the performative vigil, I warned the Queens Working Families Party. I said, hey, things are getting heated in my district. I think you should stay neutral. I don't think you should endorse anyone. I like Haley, but like I think that it would be good for you to like stick this one out. And the only positives I see is that maybe if it is like you could build a progressive block, but people are pissed at her. And I sent them a long ass email being like, hey, I don't think I can make your endorsement meeting, but like, here's a video of like one of my neighbors who went to a vigil and like had some real issues with Julie. And like, here's another action that she did. Here's like what her husband's been up to. And they endorsed.
Yeah, no, and thank you for saying that too. Like, I just want to touch a bit because, like, I want to like, there's so thank you so much for all of that because it's so dense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you said so many things that are so packed with like, you know what I'm saying? Like with meaning and imports. You feel what I'm saying? Like so for people just to sum up what Thomas said, she moved into a building that was an extremely, that is a community unto itself, pretended to be a part of that community, pretended to want to care about what that community cared about in that building, got everybody's data from that building, got everybody from that, made promises to people in that building, got all the people from that building to elect her, and then moved out of the building without telling anybody in that building that she did that, and didn't follow up on any of the promises that she made to everybody in that building. So that's the first thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so she did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she violated her pledge. Holy shit, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something else because you said something else that got me like fired up.
I will
So,
say, did like people did contact her. She did like have to because she was the council person to like help for casework, but like it's not a good relationship. Like, I don't know what she doesn't have a relationship that I know of with the tenants association here. She doesn't. I would like. I had mice in my apartment. I would send it to her, and she would respond, and just constantly it was just like, well, call 311. Tell your tenants they have to document it. I know these things. I do tenant organizing on top of campaigns. Like, I know what to do. I'm just asking you to like push and like hold the landlord more accountable.
you also
Um,
you also mentioned her husband too, the campaign manager, and I just want to elaborate on that a little bit for folks too who might not have heard the stories, at least about some of the recent things that he has done to intimidate people working for Haley. Excuse me, intimidate children working on Haley, volunteering on Haley Kim's campaign, including the brother of, isn't it somebody that you know, right? His little brother, Chris's little brother.
Chris's disabled brother
Yeah.
was out doing like pole site visit. I don't know him, but like I know he was out doing pole site visibility, and he was Julie's husband was like verbally attacking him so bad that a bystander, a passerby, had to interject and intervene.
Yeah.
There's multiple accounts. Like first of all, this is a long history of his behavior. So when I worked for him, I just thought he had an anger problem, and like I didn't take a lot of what he would do seriously. But the man is he needs help. He does. He would viciously go after Amit Baga, curse at him in public, tell people, because Amit Baga had worked for Anthony Weiner, who is, a registered sex offender now. He would connect that and try to like spin it to make it seem like he's supporting a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
And like would say these things to people. And even my friend John, who he just like assumed John was like supporting like he was like working against his wife in some way. He like attacked him at the board of elections when we were doing absentee ballot voting. And he has a very he's very insecure, and he he takes that out on the field when he's interacting with voters. And it's not even people that are opponents of his wife, it's people that question his wife too, which is even stranger. Like, they're not saying they're not going to vote for you, but they're troubled by her votes and her record
Yeah.
and her behavior. So
Well, that's what fascists do, though. They silence dissent, right? It's like, don't even ask me no questions. Like, how dare you question me? Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
it's like, it's because I want people to connect the dots of like what we're talking about here, right? I think that if you're just coming into this fresh, you feel like, man, these guys really don't like this, like, this woman, right? Like, we don't, and it's like, no, like, this isn't a personal thing. Like, there is a power dynamic at play here. This is a person with like, access to the city's resources, who's giving out city's resources, and also, like, so for one example, the campaign manager, like Julie Wan's campaign manager's name is Eugene. No, it's also her husband. There was an incident. It's on my Instagram right now. It's it's up there. There's an incident a couple of weeks ago at festival that Woods on the Move put on, where he was yelling, cursing at two of Haley Kim's volunteers that had come up to him and asked him questions. To your point, had asked him questions like, "Yo, what about like Julie Wan's voting record or whatever?" And he cursed them out and started calling Haley Kim a loser. He said, "Oh, Haley Kim's a loser. She lost, didn't she?" Which, first of all, no kind of real competitor thinks about like their competitors that way, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even boxers never beat somebody and say, "Oh, that guy's a loser. I just beat him," right? They're like, hey, like we fought, and I won, they lost. So that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. But it's not that you're a loser because you lost. Saying that discourages people from participating in the process, right? Saying that if you participate and you lose, you're a loser, discourages people from trying. So it's like, it's really discouraging to have this person who has authority in the community talking to children like that, and then following up that trauma by visiting the mosque of those kids, that the same kids that he was like terrorizing in the street, they have to sit at their mosque and watch him speak and be received as a respected, important person. You know what I'm saying? So like, now they like, what the message that they're receiving is like a person who was abusive and like violent, like with their language towards them, is held up in prominence in their place of worship and in their sacred space. You know what I'm saying? And this is just so insidious. Like, it's insidious in the same way that it's insidious for me, a black man, to be gaslit in a neighborhood not full of black people, having a vigil about the murder of a black man after voting to increase the budget of the people who are most likely to kill black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is the police. So, darling, my bad. Now that you're home and settled in, I want to hear from you. Why did you participate in this effort? And maybe you talk to the people a little bit about the importance of, checking whoever is in office anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's something that people need to understand, like, we should be doing regardless of, even if we like who the candidate is and we like, the job that they're doing.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, first and foremost, everybody on here, what's up? Do not vote for Julie Wan tomorrow. I just want to put that out there. Explicitly verbalize it. It's pinned. Y'all need to hear it. Do not vote for her, first and foremost. But I mean, on the onset, on the inception of her campaign, I am the individual that Thomas was talking about that was waving the red flag saying this person is a fraud. This person is an imposter. This person is not about the people in the streets. This person is an opportunist. And I was just having a conversation just before this video chat with an individual who actually supported Julie Wan, and who now is no longer supporting Julie Wan for a lot of the things that we're talking about. And while talking to her, I was like, I knew from the gates that she was an imposter, right? And the reason why I know that is because growing up, I had to discern that at a very young age, just to survive.
Sorry. Yo, can I tell you? Because in the video that Thomas is talking about, when I left the vigil and I was like going off, or one of the other videos that I posted, I said that to everybody. I'm like, yo, if you have never been robbed, you know what I'm saying? If you have never been hustled, if you have never been took or taken anybody, then you won't know what I know about Julie Wan.
Yep.
But if you have, then you fucking know as soon as she starts talking. As soon as she starts talking, you know. I sorry to cut you off, but like, I just feel you so much.
Nah,
it's so real.
It's and having sort of that conscious moment of like, yeah, yo, like since I was a child, I had to discern the phonies from the real ones, right? Because my survival and the survival of the people closest to me depended on that. And automatically I saw it right away, right? And it's just a skill that you learn growing up. And this is just like politics aside, like this is straight basic humanity and dignity and honor, right? I knew from the onset that she was looking to be opportunistic, to be expedient, and to exploit whatever angle she could potentially exploit to her benefit. And she has done that, and she has done that effectively, unapologetically, very manipulatively, and like I said, I was waving the red flags from the jump, and the reason why was because I'm outside. I'm one of the folks who is deeply threaded in Astoria, in Long Island City, in Sunnyside, in Woodside, particularly in NYCHA, right? I'm a tenants' rights lawyer. I'm supporting tenants all throughout the district in NYCHA. And I've been laying down groundwork for years here. And I had never heard of Julie Wan until that campaign.
Yeah, that's real shit.
I've never heard of her in my life, dog. And she sat on the community board, the CB2.
Woof.
I've never heard of her. And like, granted, like there are people that are going to fall through the cracks, right? And then when I see you, I can be like, this person's real or not. But having not known her after being in the streets for so goddamn long, being from here I grew up here. This is my neighborhood. I'm from Astoria, right? I've been here my entire life. So not having seen or heard of her, right? And then seeing her run and being like, okay, extend good faith, but then just seeing the red flags of like, this is someone who is going to exploit me and my community for resources, right? For political power, right? That's when I was like, yo, nah, she's not the one. She's not the one for this district. I did sense political ambition, and there's nothing inherently wrong with
There's nothing inherent,
right? Absolutely not.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But when we just wrapped up, right, shutting down the city, shutting down bridges, putting our lives on the line, occupying City Hall, right, getting brutalized by the police in the streets after they murdered our brothers, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and you name the list.
It's
right?
wild
It's
list.
wild long. We'll stay here all day mentioning it. After experiencing that, and then being posed with this candidate in this district, I knew immediately that she was not the one, particularly as it pertains to the police budget. And I just want to zoom out a little bit because this is anti-Blackness at work.
It really is.
This is anti-Blackness at work.
It really is.
This is colonization at work. This is white supremacy at work. Right? She hoodwinked us. She literally hoodwinked us. And even if the police budget is not, rather the budget and policing is not your particular issue, the fact that she had the balls and the decency to sign on to these two pledges and renege on them that quickly should speak enough to her character, right? Because we need to get past this status quo of expedient politicians and politics. When shit is wrong, you need to vote against it, period.
Period.
Because we've been playing the status quo for way too long. And apathetic to the
you froze.
For way too
Oh
long.
Man, you on it.
Right? We've literally have gotten to the precipice of where we can no longer entertain this type of politics if we're going to move in a direction that is fundamentally different, one that's actually going to entail public safety of our communities.
Can I tell you, I would go even a step further because people might be like, we can't entertain this type of treatment from anybody in our lives. Do you understand? This is like, I really want to invite people to reflect. The people who don't have a problem with how Julie Wan is treating you, like, do you let people push you around? Do you let people violate you? Do you let people in your life lie to you repeatedly? Do you let people in your life violate your boundaries? Do you let people in your life disrespect you. And if the answer to any of those questions is yes, it's okay, but you can stop. You know what I'm saying? I used to let people violate my boundaries. I used to let people who I love disrespect me. You know what I'm saying? And then at some point you have to say no. You feel what I'm saying? And when you start doing that in your everyday life, it becomes super easy to run up on the politicians and be like, nah, get the fuck out of here. This is not gonna fly. You know what I'm saying? It becomes super easy to run up on the cops and be like, nah, fuck out of here. It's not gonna fly. Because this doesn't fly with anybody. My mama can't treat me like this, y'all. You feel me? No one.
Absolutely. And to the point about anti-blackness, right? Like, you're, on an individual level, you're not going to allow people to disrespect you. But on a systemic level, when we're talking about what she did, she literally did that, right? She was able to benefit from Black people and our issues when it was convenient for her. And as soon as she was in political power, in a position to make a choice that impacted Black people, she was like, nah.
Real quick.
And that's reinforcing the anti-Blackness that I'm talking about, right? This status quo of we're just going to pander and play this progressive, talking point only to the extent that it's beneficial for the power structures. But as soon as I feel pressure from the inside to move otherwise, I'm willing to put them on the chopping block. And that's exactly what she did.
So Louis P. Sosa has a question.
I wanted to speak to that specifically.
Yeah. I want to let's make this let's have a conversation, right? Community conversation, family conversation. There's a real question he's asking. Don Lee Thomas, do you have thoughts? Pia, also, pardon me, hello, welcome. They're on camera now. We haven't been officially introduced. Do you want to speak on anything right now, Pia, or do you want to, or can we circle back to you after this question?
We'll go back after this question. But hi, everyone.
Hi, Pia. Thank you so much for all your help also, Pia. You've been super instrumental in us executing all of this. Would the pressure she felt after fighting the development near Steinway be a reason why she voted for the budget? Pressure in office is a real thing. What is real about the pressure in office exactly, Louis? Yeah, I mean, I'm not being funny. I'm saying the pressure is that she feels what? What's the, okay, yeah, what do you mean by the pressure, right? What's the pressure?
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the internal pressure coming from the mayor and the city council as an operating system, right, as an operating structure to get people to vote in a favorable manner for the council so that you can get discretionary spending money for your district. And this is the problem that is inherent in the city council, in all legislators, frankly, but particularly here, is that we have an anti-democratic budgetary process that weaponizes the power to be in the city council that's hedged in favor of the real estate lobby, that's hedged in favor of the police, right, and the wealthy in the city, to move in a direction that appeases and favors them. So when you move in tension with that, right, that's the invisible pressure, the invisible hand that they're talking about. And this is when I say we need politicians who have dignity and courage to stand up against that, because that structure, this idea that we're gonna weaponize budgets, right, and the city council's member to provide discretionary funding to their district against them because they won't vote in a way that's dignified, that's actually going to lead us to a broader justice for not just for our district, but for the entire city. Yeah. These district lines are arbitrary. They're artificial. Yeah. They're drawn every 10 years by folks who've had power for the last 100, right? But these our issues are not limited to district lines.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, Louis. So you're saying millions and millions of pressure, but it's millions and millions that she could get in discretionary funding for her district to do special projects and then, essentially increase her ability to be reelected again. Not necessarily improve the fundamental things that make life livable for the people in her district and beyond. So maybe the school got some new computers, but they still don't have enough teachers. You know what I'm saying? The cafeteria food is still shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not fundamentally addressing the issue. And until we can build a coalition of enough city council people that will stand up and say, no, we will not move forward on the budget. We will not rubber stamp this. We're gonna just keep living in this loop of people just selling out, people selling their ass really just to move up. You know what I'm saying? So like it's really literally selling out the human beings of New York City for your own gain. That's the pressure that you're talking about. You're talking about the pressure of, should I fuck over everybody in the city or should I be successful in this arena in this way that has been prescribed to me traditionally? Mind you, the traditional way that has been prescribed to me is one that upholds a white supremacist power structure. So that's like, it's really important to understand that. The pressure that you are feeling is to uphold the white supremacist power structure or nah. You know what I mean? And I'm saying, nah, don't fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? And you and she pledged not to do it. And there's 6 other city council people that did not do it. You know what I'm saying? And they're still, she's gonna get reelected. You know what I'm saying? She's out here doing this thing. He's very popular, he's getting reelected. Tiffany Caban's getting reelected. You know what I'm saying? The rest of them I haven't been following as much. I heard Karen J's not going to run again, so I don't know. But like, you know, Tiffany and she getting reelected, and they both voted no in the last budget. You know what I'm saying? So like, you can't tell me, one, that you can't be successful by like actually leading and galvanizing and motivating the people, and 2, that like you're not willing to take an L for the greater good and make a fucking plan. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing right now. That's why we're holding rallies in the street, and we're going to keep holding rallies in the street. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to build a coalition of, you know, of politically educated, you know, constituents that are ready to dictate to the person in office what needs to happen. You know what I mean? And like, until we do that, nothing is going to change. I'm sorry, please, Tom.
Well, I was going to say, maybe you want to speak to the fact that this whole initiative is not something short-term meant just for election day. But something long-term that is meant to, I don't know, do like political education, form people's assemblies, like discuss legislation and do like outreach to the community that's impactful and effective. Because I think what's happening now is we leave the power up to the main people who have it, especially in this district, right? Like these voters, they come here to where I live in Sunnyside Gardens because those are the people who show up every time. But like I'd love to see like
hear
more about like what your vision is to do like more people's assemblies, rallies, like voter outreach.
Yeah.
Full way.
You want to hear right now?
Yeah, I think people need to know that this is not just us out here yelling about Julie Wan, but it's actually a bigger plan, and that it's about not just our district, but like all the districts, right? The entire city. And like, I think, yeah, because when you said that to me, that motivated me to get more involved in this accountability action. Because I think oftentimes folks like use my labor for like temporary actions to do something that's like not long term, you know, campaign, win an election, get in office, that sort of deal. I'm really interested, and I think a lot of the people on here might be interested in what you're sort of envisioning with that.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm saying, I'm envisioning, but like my vision is a communal vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually a conversation even that me and Donnelly were having just like a couple of weeks ago about like, we should, in a perfect world, the community, like, and the community would grow, but the community would meet out in the street every 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even in a perfect world every month, but let's just say once a quarter, and just discuss, how do we feel about what's happening in our community? How do we feel about what the city council person is doing? Do we know what the city council person is doing? First of all, and that's something that I wanted to talk to, you know, to solicit volunteers for, right? To come join us to help us organize this information, right? And make it more digestible, right? Like there was a finance, like we said, there's a finance subcommittee hearing that was 12 hours long. All the people were testifying. You know, if we could find people to help us sift through that video and cut up the clips and make it like just here's the top 10 highlights you need to see from that finance subcommittee hearing, you know, testimony, and so people know what's going on. Because the number one thing that I heard from folks in the last 2 weeks as we've been doing all this work is, hey, I didn't know that she voted that way on the budget. I didn't know that I didn't know everything we said was like, I didn't know that, right? And I'm not mad at people because how can you know? That's the whole point of capitalism, right? It's to work you into exhaustion so you don't have time to try and change the conditions around you. And you're just like, like funneling up the money to the wealthy folks. So I understand that people are exhausted, and I'm saying that we can come together collectively to make this information more digestible to people, to build community. I'm not even saying like hand out flyers. Like, let's get up, let's break bread, and let's have a potluck. Let's know each other's families. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's actually build community, and that way we as a collective community can dictate to whoever's in office what it is that we want. Ideally, it shouldn't even matter who's in office, and it wouldn't even be a sexy job like that. If we were together as a community, it would be like, an executive assistant, right? Like, which is just like executing on the will of the people. Oh, the people want this today, so like, I'm gonna just go try and get it, and that's it. And then and if like whatever they don't get voted for again, we just vote the next person out. Like, but them being put in and out of office shouldn't be something that is in the hands of corporate donors, real estate interests, think tanks, all this shit, all the PAC money that comes in and influences all these local elections. If the local community is strong and talking to each other, that shit won't matter, right? They'll come with all their flyers, they'll come with their TV ads, and they'll be like, no, that's not true, because I was just talking to Donnelly and Thomas last week, and like, I know that's not true, what you're saying right now. And so that's the vision. Is it going to be like that from the jump? No, I'm hoping that because I want to do it in December because it's too cold, that we do the next one in November. Maybe we do it like fucking the weekend before Thanksgiving or some shit like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we do it in November. We go to the park. Hey, we're going to be out in the park. Here's what the city council person has voted on. Yes or no? How you feel about that? Here's how it's affecting everybody. Everybody bring some food. We're going to fucking build. That's my vision. Donnie, I want to hear your vision. Thomas P, I want to hear y'all's visions.
Yeah. No, that resonates for me, and it is very, manifest of what I think what we've been speaking about for the last couple of weeks, and even for the last couple of years, honestly. And it's really been what inspires me to continue to do the work, because I've always envisioned the role of the legislator as a motherfucking lever, right? And right now, the people who have the lever are makeshift organizations that are very much shells of the nonprofit industrial complex that's beholden to the wealthy class in the city.
Facts.
And when we had this rally this past weekend, to counter Julie's GOTV, and we spoke about this, we saw a shell of a campaign. And what I mean by that is that on the side where the GOTV was happening, she had herself, the elected officials in the overlapping districts. She had unions that represented folks from throughout the entire city, and maybe like one or two max organizations that are in district, and then a couple individuals within the district. But like, it was not reminiscent of the people in that community in any substantive way. We were actually on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
It was
beautiful. On the other side, and that dichotomy was very apparent when I was watching it, sort of from a bird's eye view. And that's what a lot of these campaigns are. They're shells. They're shells that are chauffeured through the parties, whether it's the Working Families Party, whether it's the Democratic Party, of the political relationships that they have established through the past years, and to the extent that they've been able to sort of reshuffle, reimagine, rebrand those political relationships in a way that is relatively in touch with sort of the politics of today. But it is not meaningfully, right, hedged to the community and the politics of the community in a meaningful way. And when we talk about what we're envisioning here, what I envision is one where there should be no legislator that is not operating through a people's assembly, period. A people's assembly that is bringing forth motions a democratic process
Yeah.
and a deliberative process of decision making, collective decision making. We're talking about radical, hyper local democracy, right? Where we are just levers. Any legislator, just levers. That's it. And we can set up systems because here's the reality: people aren't going to agree on all issues. I can tell you that I was at that rally, and there was someone who was the older white woman who was talking about her issues with Eugene,
Yeah.
and which was very valid. And at the same time, I could have very much seen her being like, "Oh, give the police more money,"
Yeah.
right? So there needs to be some sort of discretion, and we want to elect individuals who understand those particular nuances, right? To serve as sort of like a veto, if you will, right?
Yeah.
In that process, because we need to hedge the sense of the most directly impacted. It has to be from an anti-Black analysis, because the ones who are most harmed are Black and brown individuals, right? Impoverished individuals. So we can't dismiss that in our deliberations. But ultimately speaking, the vision is one of radical democracy, consensus building, rooted in hyper-local community deliberation, where they make the decisions and the elected officials respond to that in the council. And that's what I envision. And I don't think that any single campaign that doesn't reflect that moving forward is not going to get us to a position where we can actually reach a goal of a just world, because we're so operating in a reactionary way to the budget. We're only thinking about 1 year out. We're not thinking about the goal. And then the politicians pivot and respond to that. And then you see issues arise within the political decision makers as it exists, whether they fall on this issue or that issue or whatever. But ultimately speaking, we want to build something that transcends that. That we're sending in brigades of soldiers, right? Of reinforcements. We get one person elected, we get 3 people elected, we get 5 people elected, and we're all saying no to the budget until the budget is actually reflective of the moral document that it needs to be.
So that's why we're probably gonna end up roasting, Haley Kim when she wins too. You know what I'm saying? But with love. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I can't even get too close there. I'm like, nah, chill. Cause I'm like, we're gonna put you on the Summer Jam screen next. You know what I'm saying? Like, if everything goes well. And that's how it should be, honestly. And if Donnelly one day wins, we put his ass up there too, like Donnelly. Listen, you know what? Listen, I played football, right? In football, every night after every game, the next practice, you have film sessions, right? And in film sessions, you're just watching every single player and every single play in super slow motion, and the coach just roasts you. Yo, what was that? What were you doing? What were you going there? What were you doing with that? Come on, you're killing us with that. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, we should be able to do that with the city council person. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, film session. What was this vote? Come on, y'all. Is that people centric? Is that gonna address the plight of the Black and the brown man? The person is that gonna protect people who can have babies? Is that gonna protect people who are unhoused? Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? So get it together. You got one more shot. You know what I mean? And and then they'll be like, oh, okay. I'll give them a chance to justify it, right? Like, oh no, I thought that this would help these people in these ways, and thank you for clarifying. I didn't understand. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what Julie Wan's doing, right? Julie Wan's like, you're dumb, you're stupid. That's unrealistic. That was never gonna happen. I don't know why you think that. You know what I mean? That's Julie Wan's answer to me. Real quick, damn. Okay, I want to get to Kayla's question. I also just feel crazy that Pia is on here on screen and hasn't spoken, and I feel like it's just such a patriarchal fucking thing. So could we just
Yeah.
can we make me feel better right now? Pia,
So hi everyone. I'm Pia. I worked with Thomas in the past on a campaign. And my concern is schools and our future generations. So right now I'm in nutrition education, and I go through all the schools in New York City and I observe them. My biggest concern right now is school funding. The reason with school funding is that when there is not enough for enrollment, sometimes these kids will not be able to meet the quota to get warm meals. This increases food insecurity. It's just a ripple effect of so many things. I don't think people realize that school funding is just beyond books. It determines how much food a school can get, warm meals or snacks.
Mm.
There is such poor enrollment in so many schools that these kids live off of snacks, not warm meals. That is not nutrient dense. That is not sufficient. When you are not funding schools, there's long-term effects to it, health-wise, nutrition-wise, stunted growth. So for me, I'm concerned with the budget and schools, and this is in honor of all the kids of New York that really inspire me. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. No, but thank you for sharing that. I felt that.
Okay.
You know, yeah, thank you. Thomas, do you want to answer Kayla's question?
Such a difficult question to answer because with the mid-year adjustments, with the two people running, they're like sparring back and forth about how much was cut, what's been moved around, what discretionary funding did this school get to like offset how much was lost. But I think it's like important just first to look at what did this council person initially approve. This is what she said, that as a representative for LIC, Woodside, Sunnyside, Astoria, Queensbridge, Woodside Houses, Ravenswood, Blissville, she said that it was okay to cut these from schools, from the entire city. So for arts supplemental, she was decided yes on 4.5 million being cut. For speech therapy, 1.1 million cut. And we had Grace, who is a bilingual speech therapist, speak at the rally, and I can tell you that the schools need this. Like my sister is a teacher, first grade here in Queens, and because of the pandemic and so many kids learning remotely, there has been a real impact on like their social and developmental skills, and like younger kids not learning to like interact with kids during their formative years. Like sustainability initiatives, 500,000 cut. English math support services, 11.5 million cut. Mandated counseling, 7.2 million cut. Mental health continuum, 1.7 million. And then for the schools in our district, which she approved PS 12 losing 2.2 million. William Cullen Bryant High School, 1.8 million cut. PS 150, where her opponent went to elementary school, 1.5 million cut. And this is like the neighborhood where Julie lives, and where she's like walking the streets every day, claiming to be an education advocate. So like the budget passed by the city council in 2022 was 33.6 million cut from education. And then with the mid-year adjustments as of January 2023, it was 11.7 million cut. And like some of these numbers come off of Class Size Matter, which is like a neutral, it's a nonpartisan org providing these numbers. And what's really interesting about this like number debate about how much we lost recently is now Julie's out there telling folks, we didn't lose anything because I got the money, the discretionary funding and funding for the schools. But that's actually not, because as of right now, her opponent was talking about how right now we're at with the two whole adjustments, we've still lost nearly $8 million missing from school districts in our district. And it is, when we call Julie a liar, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You should own up to the fact that you approved this budget, and the fact that you're not taking the stance that other council members did to like own up at least and sit and work with education advocates and say you want to do better is really messed up. And like and then her opponents, or just name her opponent, Haley, like sent this mailer recently, talking about how much we lost for like schools altogether, 659 million, sanitation 94, parks 63 million, libraries million. And I know to people these are just like numbers, but like just for folks that are joining us, these city council members are our most powerful elected officials. They vote annually on billion-dollar budgets. They approve developments in our district because the council members have member deference, and they just go along with whatever that council member in that district wants. And they have real influence, and for and just frankly, like I didn't even think Julie would run again after this, because I knew that this is a pretty informed. The area where she lives is a pretty informed area, and people coming up to her left and right, being like, "Why'd you cut the school budget? Why don't wait? So you got money for our district? Well, what about these other kids in other districts? Like, there are teachers in our district who teach outside of the district. Like, they're directly impacted by it. And so I think the justifications are awful, and like everyone's like, what are the numbers? There's like the debate off the numbers. It's like a fluid thing throughout the year. And so we really need to like talk directly about as Roque so put it so well during the rally and in your Medium piece, like, do we just say fuck them kids, fuck other people's kids, fuck other people in other districts? We got our money, but the truth is we didn't even get our money, so you're lying to us.
That's the shit, is like that we didn't get that money, right? But she's making it seem like, no, I got you. But it's like, I don't think you do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really don't think you do. And even like, and you said something important too that I want to get people to like, to internalize, like how much money, right, specifically from this school to that school is like the details, right? It's the details. It's if we were following, it's like okay, I'm trying to find a way to put this, but like basically it's like, well, what I am most concerned about is the general direction that we are heading, right? Like, it's not even about like, what are the details? I don't care what road you took to get to the place. I just want to know that you're going where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? But when she when she pledges to vote no on a police budget that takes away from social services, and then votes yes on a police budget that takes away from social services, we're going in different directions, right? You're upholding the status quo. You're going backwards. You're going in the opposite direction from where I want to go. It's about getting us collectively as a people to say we demand that people be centered in the budget, human beings, right, in their daily lives, be centered in the budget. When we say, oh, we cut this from libraries, they're over here, they're about to cancel Saturday programming at libraries. They were this close to doing it, and then they just like, they're still actually negotiating doing it, but like Eric Adams trying to step in and say, no, we're gonna get them some money, they're not gonna do it, but like they're about to cut libraries on Saturdays. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like so many children will never have access to the library, right? Because their parents can't take them during the weekend, but they'll go to the week on the weekend sometimes. And there's like, story hour and there's all this stuff. I only recently had a child, so I never even fully understood how important all of this stuff is. The libraries, the parks, the schools I understood, but the parks, the libraries, this little stuff that makes like your quality of life every day. If I couldn't take my son to the park every day, I don't even know what I would do. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know what I would do. I don't have a backup plan for taking them to the park. So like for them to cut money from the park's budget so that the staff is cut shorter, so that the bathrooms are closed earlier, right? So like people have less access to using the space even when the sun is not down. I just saw some people complain about the other day. Even it's like 4 o'clock and the staff like closed the bathroom and left. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? It's the sun is still out. The park is still full. But that's because budget cuts, right? We can't afford to pay a staff to come in early to stay late. Like these are the little things that affect our quality of life that Julie Wan wants to like, gloss over. But it's really important. And these are small things that we have to demand that the politicians can't take from us. More questions, more disgusting people. I wonder, is John on here? John Cho. Were you in the chat? Okay. I also wanted to just talk about the Innovation Queens a little bit. Because I think that it's important that people understand that that's not what they think it is. Julie Wan is, you know, negotiated for whatever I forget the percentage of like affordable housing. It doesn't matter because it's an imaginary number. No, it doesn't matter what the number is. It doesn't even matter what the number is.
But I want to highlight because I was part of the story.
You sound far away now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Testing. Is it better?
Yeah.
So I was part of the Astoria Not for Sale Coalition, right? And we were a coalition of Astoria residents and groups of folks who were fighting against Innovation Queens. And I will say this, we were not in full alignment about whether people were a hard no and some were more gaming the system to get more perks out of the project. I personally was a hard, absolutely fuck no to Innovation Queens. And I've made that clear in my involvement in the coalition. And lo and behold, we're here now. But what I wanted to mention is that throughout that entire process, Julie Wan pivoted into the coalition organizing in a way that I personally was not a fan of, because it was utilizing our labor in the coalition to leverage her internal power in the council when negotiating around the Innovation Queens project, right? And from my perspective, her decision was already made from the jump that Innovation Queens was going to come to Astoria and Long Island City. And there were unions who were in favor for it, and carpenters unions that I would not be surprised if it were the same ones that support her. I will fact check and gather that information at a later point, but nevertheless, there were unions who were supporting the Innovation Queens project because they took the position of, well, we need to build shit, we need contracts, we need jobs, and this is a way to get jobs. And this is a larger issue that we need to assess in the city about this conflict of workers versus tenants. Workers are tenants.
Yeah.
And they exploit this issue at every land use and development decision-making process through ULURP. It happened with Amazon and the HQ2 fight. This is a constant tension at development, and it's a product of scarcity politics in capitalism, right? But her particularly, the way that she utilized it was very exemplary of her style of politics, which is, I'm going to do what I can to uplift myself within the status quo while giving crumbs to the people. And that is precisely what happened with the Innovation Queens project, which frankly, in my opinion, if it gets built, because apparently now they can't find the money to get it built because 421A expired, and now all the billionaire developers are like, oh, how are we going to build it? Well, dig into your fucking pockets and build it.
But hold on, real quick. I think we should explain that to folks. Like, we don't want to say that too fast, right? Like, that's what happens. I know for myself, like when I was new to these political conversations, like we would just like run past stuff. Because John broke this down for me. I didn't understand it, right? Like you're saying just real quick education. 421A, y'all, was a tax break that the city had legislated for real estate developers that they would get if they built developments with X amount of percentage of affordable housing in it, and a couple other like stipends on that too. I can't remember. A couple other like conditions were on that too, but they would get this big tax break. A few, like I forgot how many years ago, maybe Thomas can chime in or John can chime in. A few years ago, city council noticed that actually real estate developers were using this tax break, but not building affordable housing, and it wasn't yielding the result that the city council initially wanted to yield with that legislation. So they allowed it to expire, and that now Innovation Queens developers are using the agreement that they came to with city council to try and force them to essentially blackmailing them into reinstating 421A so that they can get this huge tax break. So they made this deal, this handshake deal, right, with city council, like, okay, we're gonna build 40%, affordable housing, you got it, right? And first of all, that deal is worth nothing. It's not like they're not contractually, legally obligated to fulfill that promise, right? It's just a pledge, similar to the pledge that Julie Wan made to not increase the NYPD budget. The pledge means nothing, y'all. It means nothing. Why? Why? I'm sorry. Why would we believe them? I just don't understand. What evidence do y'all have to believe corporate billionaires that are developing real estate, that they're gonna have their best interest in mind? When does that ever, literally ever, one time ever happen? Ever? I don't understand. Anyway, so they made this agreement, like, okay, I'm going to build 40% affordable housing. And now, to Dolly's point, they're saying, yo, well, we really don't have the money. We could do it, though, if you reinstate this tax break that was not a part of the original negotiation in the first place. So they came to a deal, and then they said, actually, give me more money. You know what I'm saying? And this is the deal that Julie Wan is waving around, saying she negotiated a good deal. The one in which she got no guarantees and then got shook down for more money after the deal was over. That's the deal she's saying was good for you, people of New York.
Yep.
I don't understand.
So even by the terms of the agreement, I think it's only about 20 to 25% that's actually required. And then the other 10, 15% that gets it to 40% affordability is dependent on whether the city is willing to fork up the money in addition to 421A. This is separate from 421A. Wow. This is if the city helps us with this, we'll build it. If not, we don't know. So in theory, they can build the whole project, only have 20% affordability, and then that extra 20% that we're talking about could just be in limbo until the end of time, right? And this was my issue with this from the gate, from this project. I knew it was bullshit. They were exploiting Queensbridge and NYCHA tenants, giving them free bread in exchange for supporting this project, which is fucking crazy. But ultimately speaking, this is the type of politician that she is. And look, here's the thing. This type of politics worked 20 years ago.
Yep.
We're able to say yo, you know what, guys? I did my best. I was able to get you these crumbs.
Yep.
Here you have it, right? I fought and I got this. But we've been doing that for so damn long now that the rich have a factory of pizza pies. And we got a box with the crust, half-eaten crust. Hold that. You know what I'm saying? It's not sustainable.
But if you play nice, we'll get you stuffed crust.
Exactly. We'll put cheese in your crust, fam. And this is the bullshit. And this is why even if we go into this is what's problematic about Julie Wan, and we can talk about the entire city council and frame this, but this needs to be the standard because there are particulars that are problematic that we need to highlight: the details of the budget, the details of the discretionary spending, the details of the Innovation Queens bill, but much more broadly, philosophically speaking, she is not about this life. She's not about this life. She is not about this life. She's not willing to say no if it's expediency at its finest. She's not willing to say no if it means that she's going to lose political power in her mind and through her strategy. She's not willing to say no. You can lose your job tomorrow, Julie Wan, and you can go get another one in tech and make $200,000 a year. You will be fine.
You'll be good, man.
You'll be okay. And this is true for all of these politicians. You'll be fine.
Good. No,
right?
You don't understand. I have to save the world. It's me. I'm the one. I'm fucking Neo. I am Jesus Christ. I am the one. I will be president. They will worship me. And it's listen, I get it. Because when I was young, I had that voice in my head, right? When I was 19, 23, I was yeah, I'm going to be fucking, I'm the shit. And then I looked at it. I did self-interrogation, you know what I'm saying? And look at this shit, you know what I'm saying? Look at your ego. You know what I'm saying? Look at where it's taking you. Look at who and what you're willing to sacrifice just for upliftment of yourself. You know, to stroke your own shit. It's just wild. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and it is white savior complex too. Kayla. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I want to call you Almond Czar. Like, that's not your name. Oh my God. But it is that white savior complex, and it's the shit. It's in what's homie's name? Oh man, the People's History of the United States, is that the one? Yeah, People's History of the United States, where they get into like, here's like what actually the historical figures that have been held up as heroic people have been held up as such because the powers that be want you to believe that you have to be an extraordinary special human to like change the world, right? They don't want you to know that actually you just have to be a very determined person who's willing to work with other people, right? And work with the collective, because the collective could change fucking everything. And they don't want you thinking about that. They want you to think you're too small. You know what I'm saying? Like, and either you're too small, and then so the 90% of people think they're too small, and the other 10% think that they are God, right? And then they will come and they will be the hero, and that they will save everything. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're all fucked up right now. People out here, the reason that nobody knows, you know what I'm saying, respectfully, what Julie Wan voted on the budget is because we check a box and then we say, fucking mommy and daddy gotta go take care of it, right? The fucking politicians are not our parents. You know what I'm saying? They're not here to like take care of us. We collectively will take care of each other. And we can do that by telling the politicians what to do for us. You know what I mean? And when they do not do it, we fucking remove them. And then we put somebody else in and say, here's what I want you to do for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the rich and the wealthy are already doing that. And I think that I want to highlight how, man, she's not about this life. She isn't. And that's ultimately what it comes down to do you have the courage, right, to say no, right, when it's not expedient for your political power, and that's really just the bottom line.
Yeah, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I want people to understand that I'm doing that shit right now. You know what I'm saying? I have 2 businesses in this neighborhood where this person might be elected and be in office for 5 years fucking with me. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm fully aware of that. But like, so it's not expedient for me to be here right now to write an article and put my name on it. You know what I'm saying? And to be against the person who's already who may have, who I believe, who I don't know, and I can't confirm, and I can't say for sure, but who I definitely feel like sent the Department of Buildings to my businesses. You know what I'm saying? To like come inspect it. I cannot prove that. I do not know that for a certainty. So you cannot sue me for saying that. That's how I feel. That's what I feel happened. But that's certainly what I feel will happen, and that's certainly what I fear will happen. But we out here, man. We outside. You gotta be fucking courageous, B. You gotta fucking hold your head up. It's mad late. Do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have any closing questions before we get to the community?
I just say, like, I was doing so you know how we were like circulating your Medium piece today?
Yeah.
I don't know how this came up in my feed, but apparently, and I don't even remember this from the campaign, but Julie in 2021, she posted a video about defining community-led public safety. I don't even know why we haven't talked about this yet and how it's been completely removed from my mind. But do you remember this?
I think I saw it. I think somebody, I saw it on Facebook or something.
It says, in remembrance of George Floyd, we're releasing our policy video on community-led public safety. It is dedicated to his daughter, Gianna Floyd, Darnella Frazier, and all the Black and brown brothers and sisters who live in fear and anxiety at the sight of a cop car or the sound of a siren. And then it's this like, I barely remember this video, but it's like 5 minutes long, and it's like her. And not give them anything else. No, I can't. So I forgot all about this. I don't know why we haven't talked about this or like harped on this or brought it up, but wow.
We should post it. Let's post it. Let's post that video on Queen's Accountability IG tonight, please. Pia, let's get that rocking. Also, I keep forgetting. She was very subtle in keeping them across the street, but at the motherfucking vigil, For the murdered black man, there were indeed police officers present. And I couldn't believe it. Like, you know what I mean? As I pulled up, I was like, oh shit, there's a cop right here, there's a cop right there. Right? And I'm just like, you brought police to the vigil of the murdered black man by police? Like, just what the fuck are you thinking? Didn't have enough sense to tell me across the street. Had them across the street, but they were there. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's something else that, like, I think a lot of people, when they see this action that we've been doing, they're like, oh, they're just complaining about the budget. They're just complaining about one vote. But actually, one of the big promises that her campaign made, and which is why so many of the people in this district voted for her, was this whole idea of community-led public safety, where we're not going to be reliant on police officers. But now what's happening is she's getting these community officers. We talked about this the other day. These community officers who are cops, they are cops. They do have badges. They look like cops when they're walking around in the community. And so, but also these people can't do anything. Like I told you the other day that we had a transformer explosion behind our building. And then she brought the community officers over, and they're like, well, we can't actually document this. So what are we paying for officers in our community to do? And so I remember calling her legislative director, who's a really lovely person. This is after she got elected. And I said, hey, why are you all not doing community-led public safety initiatives, like even just community meetings? Why are we doing these like 108 precinct meetings? I haven't seen you do a single event. Like, oh, you're right, we should get on that. And I'm like,
We should get on that.
and then the next thing you know, they posted something on Twitter about working with some organization that I'm not familiar with them, but I'm sure they do great work. They posted like, oh, working on community-led public safety now. And so I think that, yeah,
Yep.
I think one of the other things we should talk about before, I don't know if you're about to end this, but other grievances besides the budget and besides Eugene No's behavior and beside the Secure Jobs Act, like she is acting like borderline, like neoliberal, moderate. I don't know what you want to call it, but she's not working with the Progressive Caucus.
Yeah.
There was a huge exodus of the Progressive Caucus, but she's not fully working with them. Yes, she's done some good work with Tiffany Caban and Shekar, but it's very troubling, the people that she's warming up to and working with.
Yeah, she might have done some work with Tiffany Caban, but she simultaneously is constantly throwing Tiffany Caban under the bus. Like, I mean, like, just in every other statement. She put out a flyer, like, that's what she said to me, right? It was like, the council people who voted no on the budget were being irresponsible and not serving their constituents. You know what I'm saying? Just, she said that. I will swear on reasonable doubt that she said that. You know what I'm saying? I can't even, it just fucks me up. Like, I don't even know how they fuck with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know how they're talking to her. You know what I mean? I guess it's politics, so like, they all just have to do it, whatever. But like, how can y'all talk to this person who is just like out loud saying that you are bad at your job?
And Tiffany has had death threats. I mean, to the point, I don't know how familiar you're all with it, but like, because of some of the like very left legislation she's introducing, she's had death threats, and all sorts of stuff happened to her. That's also not talked about a lot. And like the people that are really pushing forward, like a true progressive vision for the city, they're constantly attacked, and then they get pressured into not doing the things we want them to do. I mean, there's probably also this. So when I got home tonight, before we went on this Instagram live, I got a package in the mail, and I was like, "Who the hell sent me a package?" I wasn't expecting anything, and it was this book with this little letter, and I had donated to Kristen Richardson Jordan's campaign, because I knew she had like so many people running against her, and she voted against the budget, and she sent this book that she wrote called Water and Light. with like a little message just like saying like thank you so much for your contribution, and like while I won't be in office, I'm truly grateful for everyone that like supported me to run, and like I want to make sure that you like feel the gratitude. I know that she got so much pressure for like going against that development in Harlem. I know that she got a lot of pressure for not doing your typical or sort of like office setup, and and it's hard, and I feel like we have to also like support the people that are doing the right
Yeah.
thing and are voting the way that we want, because I feel like they took those votes and then they continue to be like smeared and attacked. um
Mm.
yeah, it's just a thought. I was like really shocked by this. I was like, oh, I'm sad that she's not going to be reelected, and or that she's not running anymore. But that's just an example of like good people trying to do the right thing and run for office, but then not being able to like, there's all sorts of factors, right? It's not just one thing. But yeah, it's just another thought that I had.
And it's a long. That's. Thank you for sharing that too. Because that's part of a longer conversation too, right? Like, I can't. I don't even want to get into it right now. But like, I was talking to Donnie. I've talked to Donnie about this too, and I'd love to talk to you about it, right? Because like, if we create a team of people to run, right? Then like a person like KRJ, she could run knowing that she's not going to run again, right? And it's not this big like super disappointing feeling. It's just like, oh, thank you for serving your purpose, and like we're going to make sure you're good, right? Like what like and like and building out a network of people, like building our own networks like they have, right? Like these fucking politicians, they retire, then they go work for fucking JP Morgan, whatever the fuck, consulting for these nonprofits, getting these crazy ass checks. Like, let's create our own network for our people that we can send to and connect with jobs for when they get out of city council office, so it doesn't feel like this major fucking loss, or a plan for getting them to run for another office entirely, whether it's a state office or whatever it is, right? Like let's shift the paradigm away from what it's traditionally been and what success looks like. You know what I'm saying? Success looks like us moving the ball forward to humans being conscious of their own humanity and empathetic towards other humans. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're moving us in that direction, then we're winning. That's why I left on Saturday. Saturday we had our rally. I was like, yo, that was a win. I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what happens. I do care for, like, I really care. That's why we're doing this live right now. I super care. Please don't rank Julie Wan tomorrow. But I do care what happens. But like, even if she wins, like, I still feel like we had a victory. You know what I'm saying? Just by gathering folks, just by having that discourse, and just by forming, the beginnings of hopefully will be something that we can continue. We are victorious.
Absolutely. Yep, that's the way it needs to be. And I also want to highlight really quickly, because I know this isn't about Tiffany, but she did upzone in Astoria, and Hallett's Point Cove, and another one. And the reasons spewed the status quo.
Yeah.
Spewed the status quo. And although she's doing great work on the police budget, and she's being pressured from the DSA and her constituents to do right on that issue, she failed us on the Hallett's Cove, and history is gonna basically absolve the folks who stood against it and told her particularly not to vote in favor of it. So far, she's approved all the controversial upzonings to here in Astoria since she got elected, right? And there needs to be accountability on that front as well. And none of these politicians are going to be perfect, right? And that's why it's more important than that. Ideally, you get someone who has the integrity, who has the courage to say no despite those forces, right? Because even someone like Tiffany, who's good on the budget, she folded here.
Yeah.
She folded, and I think she was wrong on this issue. Many of us in Astoria feel the same way. It's particularly the Astoria Not for Sale Coalition, which I helped organize. And it wasn't the right choice, right? But ultimately, like I said, you ideally you want someone who has integrity to say no, even when your community has not organized around it, right? And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. We need folks to be able to step up to the plate, even when there isn't a substantive. Because now, what happened in that particular situation was like folks on her campaign was like, there aren't people who are pushing out against it. Why? We're busy with Innovation Queens.
Yeah.
How many of us exist? How much labor do we have to do? People who are working, people who are trying to put food on the table, people who are going to school, people who are parents, people who are doing these things. We have to pick the biggest battle and fight against that. But we're being presented with several battles at the same time, right? So I think it's important that like someone who's an elected also has to take the prerogative fueled by the integrity of being consistent on the issues across the board.
You know what?
I think it's important to highlight that.
It is important, but can I tell you, and I don't want us to get too far adrift into like deep political theory, and like, you know, I want to stay here, but I have to just speak to what you said. Like, I don't believe in that actually. You know what I'm saying? I want that, but I'm not gonna fucking play myself. That's what, you feel me? Like, it's just falling into the same trap of like, we need to find a person. No. We need to collectively gather and make sure that we instruct whoever's in office to, like, we're never gonna fucking find the person. You know what I'm saying? And if we do, we'll be super fucking lucky. It's, first of all, what you're talking about, like, how many of those people even exist? You know what I'm saying? And then of those people who exist, how many of them are gonna like have enough, like, whatever, to run for office? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just, it's a tiny percentage of a percentage. These needles in the haystacks, these fucking super integrity filled, honorable, human loving, grounded, willing to sacrifice themselves people. There's not a lot of them to have the charges. So I think that, yes, let's call it out. Let's call people in who we care about. Like I do, I can't help but feel affection for, and like, you know, and warmth for Tiffany Caban, and I can like feel that, and also be like, yes, these decisions were wrong. We cannot continue upzoning. You have to hold the line. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm willing to hear what she has to say about that. I know what she's gonna say about that. I already know what she's gonna say.
I already heard it, and I'll tell you what she told me. Yeah. She's like, we're not going to agree on all issues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the one that we need to agree on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that tells me a lot. And yes, I agree with you. I'm not sitting here waiting for the philosopher king. Right. We got to organize, and we got to build, and we got to hold to account. And we need to ensure that the people that we're electing, when we're not, because we're not going to cover on every issue, that we can trust them to make the decision that needs to be made. Hold the fucking line. Hold the fucking line. Hold the line, bro. Hold the line. And I saw it as, again, political expediency. That's what I saw. And I love Tiffany. I think she's a great person. Personally, I think she's a dope person.
Yeah.
I was sincerely disappointed in this, and now I don't know how. Like,
what to do? Yeah.
What do you do? Like, I feel like Thomas feels with Julie Wong.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I feel let down, and this isn't just like a small issue. This is a big issue. Right. And I think this is something that is not exclusive to just any individual, but reminiscent in our city council, in just city politics and state politics and federal politics. But if we're going to move in a new direction, yes, we hold to account, and we need to the best of our ability, tap into that percentage of folks, and not just tap into them, build them, create them. And the way we do that is with what we're talking about: people's assemblies, community meetings, building the relationships that create the stake, the sense of stake, the existential dread that exists by you failing your community.
Yeah. Real quick, because we're like getting late. Grace said that she is back. Does anybody want to hop off and let Grace come on here and speak real quick? Thomas is like, me first.
He beat me to it.
All right. Off, and I just wanted to say, like, folks, Someone just sent me a question from the Medium article that we've been circulating. They were like, "Oh, y'all are so lucky that you even have someone. I'm stuck with Bob Holden." And I was like, "Do you know the districts changed?" And she didn't know the districts changed, and now she's in District 26, and she's
Wow.
voting against Julie. Like, I, there's a, first of all, everyone watching, our districts changed. Like, double checked. I'm gonna drop the NYC locator. So you can just like check your ballot. You look up your poll site, and then you're able to see a sample ballot, and it'll show you who's on the ballot. So for our district lost a bit of Astoria, and we absorbed a big chunk of Robert Holden's district, like behind Big Six Towers. So if you live over there, that's now your district. So and also like we lost some, and that's gone to like District 25, where like Shekhar Krishnan is, and so I think we definitely just need to keep doing the political education over the next less than 24 hours, because polls close at 9 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think just like keep at it. I'm gonna hop off, but thank you so much for being on here, and I look forward to calling out more corrupt politicians with you all.
Thomas, just thank you. I want to thank you publicly for the effort that you have made here, the tremendous amount of work that you have done. Love you. Thank you.
Of course, I usually do it quietly. This is the first time I've done it very
I
openly. So,
love it though. I love that for
We
you.
love
okay.
growth. We love growth.
Everybody's okay. You know what? I guess everybody's hopping on. Grace said she doesn't want to speak.
Okay.
Cool. Let's just all dip. How about that? It's late. I gotta teach a class at 8 a.m. Y'all. You know what I mean? We out here grinding. Yeah, we love y'all. Thank you. Please do not rain Julie Wan tomorrow. Please follow Queen's Accountability on IG. We're gonna start there. Y'all don't know that, but we're gonna work on getting the website up in the not too distant future, because I want to put a place where things live in a more permanent way, and a thing that's not dependent on social media. I would love for us to be able to I would love for even for us to hold digital people's assemblies, you know what I'm saying, right? And just go on Zoom and let's get everybody in and let's talk. Maybe we can't all get up and go outside. I do want us to get up and meet and physically interact, because it's completely different. And it really on Saturday, I hope y'all felt that, but I really felt that on Saturday. I was interacting with people who I hadn't met before, and I felt like we were really connecting. So definitely we're gonna do that, but also, just follow us and stay tuned for more accountability actions that we're going to be taking moving forward. And we really, and hopefully we can build with folks even outside our district and outside of our borough, and tell you what we did, and maybe help you strategize on how you can do it too. And we can keep building and building. And then maybe, 4 or 5 years from now, 10 years from now, however fucking long it takes, I'll tell you that. But we get to the point where we have a citywide network of people ready to get their city council person elected, and then ready to hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? That we can make real change happen, because really that's the only way it's going to happen. It does have to get to a place where it is citywide. That's where we have to get, because then the city council people won't feel that pressure, because there won't be any pressure. We'll all be on the same page. You know what I mean? So thank you. Donnelly, thank you so much, man, for your brilliance. And your wisdom and the way with words, just explaining it to people. And thank you everybody who's asking questions. Please share the Medium article. The reason it's important is because the more people that click it and share it, the more likely it is to come up on Google when people Google Julie Wan tomorrow, because maybe they weren't paying attention to what's going on and they Google her. They'll see that Medium article. So please click, just before you go to sleep, just click it 5 times. You know what I mean? Before you go to bed, and also share it with 10 people. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. We out.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.